On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks have the series extended on them. What happened? How did the Mavericks fall in this one? We'll talk about all that and more today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions.
He hits! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, even when the Mavs lose, and making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform. Leave a 5-star review. Like the video on YouTube and comment anything below. Anything. If you're a Timberwolves fan and you've woken up for the first time,
well, good morning.
Welcome. Welcome to this series, Timberwolves fans. Go ahead and comment below. And then if you're a Mavs fan, go ahead and comment on Locked On Timberwolves as well. We got a Locked On Wolves we can talk to as well with Ben Beacon. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And joining me for the first time, the three-man weave after a loss. After a loss.
Who are we blaming for this one?
Fade the music now because it's...
Are we blaming Slightly or are we blaming me?
You know what, guys? I'm willing to take the blame for this one because here's the reality of the situation at hand, right?
You have faded
usually
out of
every
camera.
day. Usually, here's the thing. Every day, well, this is a new spot for me being to the right. Usually, I'm going to my left, and I'm bumping off.
Right out of the camera
but now I'm right to the right, and it's a little bit. But anyways, here's the thing, right? Usually, I'll tweet out first thing in the morning. Everyone lock in, get going. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? There was severe thunderstorms in the Metroplex today, and I thought my life was in danger, so I tweeted out really quickly just to make sure my followers knew that I was all right and safe.
You marked yourself safe?
Right. I basically marked myself safe, and then I tweeted out later that I was locked in, and the problem was I should have flip-flopped them. And that's on me.
That changed the whole thing.
That changed the whole thing. And Timberwolves fans, if you're coming here to laugh it off, here we come, guys. No. Trust me, Game 5, we'll be back and ready to go. You didn't do anything.
Joining me, as always, that was Slightly Biased from the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel.
You didn't do a single thing.
And also from 105.3 The Band, what you got for me, Reggie Adetula?
The press box is a lot further away than our typical viewing location. And I'm going to attribute that change to the reason why the Mavericks lost.
Exactly.
All our seats were different.
So what?
We were all in different places. We wore black, but I guess not enough.
Right, I have white shoes on. That might be my fault as well. I mean, I'll take all the blame.
Yeah.
Let me know in the comment section what's the superstition you didn't do for Game 4 that you should have done for the Mavs to close this out. I'm curious what you all have to say. Can hear Slightly breathing so hard after that loss. He's really taking it hard.
I'm like Darth Vader, man. I'm coming out of the what do they call those? The crypto chambers. I'm coming out of
cryptocurrency chamber. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm coming out. Dogecoin, ready to go.
To the moon, Slightly Biased. That's where he's going. We'll talk about how the Dallas Mavericks fell in Game 4. We'll talk about what happened. We'll talk about how they fared without Derek Lively. What did they do with Maxi in his return? How did he look? And we'll talk about Luka and his play. We'll talk about Luka already took the blame for the loss. He said, I didn't come out with enough energy. We'll talk about that. But I think we got to start here. We got to start with Kyrie Irving. We got to start with how he played in this one because, to me, Kyrie Irving had a statement before the game. It's their Super Bowl, talking about the Timberwolves. It's a Super Bowl for them. For us, it's just another game. And for Kyrie Irving to come out the way that he did in this game, play almost 42 minutes, 6 of 18 from the field, 4 assists, 4 turnovers. It's just not enough from Kyrie Irving, especially to make that statement and come out and have that game.
Well, it's funny because I said before the game, I was like, I had people who hit me up who were upset about that comment and were like, I wish they wouldn't say that. But I was like, if anyone were to say that on the team and it's Kyrie Irving, that's okay to me because it is Kyrie Irving. He's been here. He's won a championship. He knows what it takes.
14-0 in closeout games.
Right. This was his first closeout loss of his career.
14-1.
So, yeah, he was not good tonight. And I don't necessarily think Luka was very good tonight either. And, I mean, look, we can do the runaround and we can talk about this guy wasn't good, this guy wasn't good. I understand. I want to speak directly to the camera right here and directly to the fans. I understand the angst because when your team goes up 3-0, there's this angst where it's like, I hope we're not the one. Like deep down, I hope we're not the one.
Are we already there?
Well, yes, we were there already. We were there before this game even started. To be the one
where the team comes back from down 3-0?
Yes. I mean, look, I get it. I thought
we would at least save that to like Game 5.
No. People were doing that before this game even started, where it's like, wow. I hope we're not the team. And here's the thing. Kyrie just was not good tonight, and Luka wasn't good tonight. They've been dynamic all series long. I do not think this Mavericks team is capable of losing 4 straight games to anybody in the NBA. That's not a slight on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think they're capable of losing 4 straight games to a single team in the league, regardless of who it is. I just don't think they're capable of doing it. So I still feel very good about the series. And yes, Kyrie was not good tonight. Luka was not good tonight. And they owe the team a big game 5. And guess what? I think they're going to get it. Like, that's just where I'm at with it.
Imagine being not good and scoring 28 points with 15 rebounds, 10 assists in
That's,
the Western
Luka's
Conference
stats.
Finals. Like,
Well, Luka was okay. Kyrie was not very good tonight. Kyrie was not very good.
But, I mean, Luka came out and already took blame for himself. But to me, this one, for Kyrie to come out and have that kind of a statement to make that about this game, to be the one that was 14-0 in closeouts before this one, and to come out and have the game that he did, where it just didn't look like he was right, or the same kind of Kyrie. The Mavs have won this series. The games come down to the end. They keep it close, and then they win in crunch time. And they just didn't get enough from Kyrie in crunch time, Reggie.
Absolutely. I mean, you didn't get enough from Kyrie all the way across. And the thing that I'm going to harp on is the 4 turnovers, right? Like, that is the thing that is so uncharacteristic of this game from Kyrie Irving and really the team at large. And this is where your stars, I'm going to harken back to the thing that we said, this is what Kyrie is there for. Like, you need that stability, right? Like, the stability of having 2 stars is why Kyrie is here. And you knew in the playoffs, like, and this is like kind of one of those general things that we talk about, your superstars are going to be there. The others are the ones that you talk about. And unlike in some of the other, series where maybe one of your superstars wasn't playing great, you had P.J. Washington knocking down shots, you had Derrick Jones Jr. You got a little bit of that, but not a ton. And in this series, because of, the Timberwolves still pose defensive challenges, you needed Kyrie Irving, you needed Luka Doncic to be on their P's and Q's. And when they don't give you 100% of what you need there, you open up the door for a Timberwolves team that played close with you all 4 games thus far to be able to finish out a game on you, and that was the tough part of this.
Well, you even look at, like, how Luka shot the ball. I mean, he just didn't even shoot the ball well from 2. Like, those are the 2 things that you just really desperately need, is Kyrie to hit shots and Luka to hit his close shots, because those are the ones he was getting playing against this drop coverage of the Timberwolves over and over again. He didn't hit those. Kyrie didn't get, didn't do anything close to what we're used to Kyrie doing in this series so far. And like you mentioned, nobody else really fully came with you. Like, you didn't get a huge advantage anywhere else. You didn't get a lively Gafford combined for 35 or 30 points. You didn't get a crazy Tim Hardaway game like they got in the one game against OKC. They got the good Tim Hardaway game. I did find out tonight that there are still Tim Hardaway Jr. fans within the Mavericks fan ranks. So I did find that out. But
are they currently hiding from us? Is that what's happening? Okay.
Yeah, somebody might be.
Some may be in this very room with us. But they didn't get an advantage anywhere else. And for those 2 stars to not have the games that they've had the last couple of games, they didn't get the same recipe.
Well, it was an interesting defensive adjustment by the Timberwolves. Like, they had quotes before the game. They weren't going to let Kyrie and Luka score. We saw Anthony Edwards guarding Luka early in this game, which is something that I thought would happen earlier in the series, where they would go with a more physical defender and Ant on Luka and the lengthier defender and Jaden McDaniels on Kyrie, and we saw that early on. But, I mean, look, I want to give the Timberwolves some credit because they played well in this game. Cat hit some big shots down the stretch. Anthony Edwards made some big plays down the stretch. Why? Because those 2 are all-star, 2-star, 2 superstar level players. And, the Mavericks just didn't answer that, which they've done all series long. And it comes back to this for me, which is I do not think this Mavericks team can lose 4 straight games, to anybody in the NBA. I'm not just like saying this as a slight to the Timberwolves. I'm just saying in general, from what I've seen from this team over the last 4 or 5 months, I don't think the Mavericks can lose 4 straight games to anybody. And I still stand on that. And it sucks that they lost this game. And yes, Luka didn't do this down the stretch. Kyrie didn't do this down the stretch. But guess what? They did it in the first 3 games.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why they're up 3-0.
For sure.
And they lose this game. And here's the thing. Before the series started, if you told a Mavs fan, hey, after game 4, you're up 3-1, you would say, oh, my God.
Right.
You would think it was a 2-1 series going into this game, and they won it, and now we're going to game 5 up 3-1. But that's not the case.
They had chances in this game.
Yeah, they did.
1 minute left. Kyrie hits the floater off of the Derrick Jones Jr. tap out, and it's a 3-point game with a minute left. You get that. You had the Kyrie turnover with 30 seconds left. That was really brutal.
Yeah.
You had the Anthony Edwards jumper off of the Gobert moving screen, which is just gonna happen. And then Gafford had an intentionally foul, but that Kyrie turnover at the end. I mean, that was the one that really killed them in that last stretch. And you still got an amazing Luka and 1-3, which
yeah, that was crazy.
Missed the free throw, but could have put it to 2 at that point with like 13 seconds left. But you just didn't get the final kill shot moments from Luka or Kyrie.
Can I ask you two fine gentlemen a question here? Because it's a thought that I've had, but I'd like to, employ your brains and your eyeballs in this. Another game that was close, but this felt different in a way, and this is why I really lean on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. It felt like they did not completely break down the Timberwolves defense in the way that they had done in the first 3 games. And they were able to get enough to keep it close, but it did not feel like the Timberwolves were in the same place of, not having anything defensively, scrambling to find something and just holding on tight enough. It felt like they had a lot more comfort defensively in this game than they had in the first 3 games. Is that just me trying to explain away a loss, or is that something that you
It was the change you mentioned that the Timberwolves made.
Yeah, the Timberwolves said before the game, we're not letting those 2 score as much, and I think that was it. And PJ hit some clutch threes.
And we also saw how many corner threes did they get in this game?
A ton.
Yeah, the Mavericks got way more corner threes than they did the entire series.
16 corner threes. So they basically
that's more than they had the whole series.
The Timberwolves basically went to, all right, we're going to do what the Thunder did in the second round. We're going to sell out on these 2 stars and come up and try and stop them and help off of these corners. And the Mavs got a lot more corner threes than they got. Remember, at the beginning of the series, we were talking about let's count every single corner 3 that they get. And it was like 4 corner 3s that they got in this one. And so coming up, let's talk about who else kind of stepped up for the Mavs in a way, but who else needs to be better? Let's talk about how Luka and Kyrie can be better. Let's talk about those things coming up. Where are you going to go? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and get the tickets that you want to go to the things that you want to go see this summer. I've gotten tickets to Game Time to go to theater events. I went to Les Mis this past summer, and I went and saw that. I've been to Wings games using the Game Time app, all kinds of stuff. They have priority last-minute deals. You save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, all that kind of stuff. Also, they have all-in pricing where you can check the box and you see all the fees and stuff. That's the most annoying thing about other ticketing apps is you just never know what the fees are going to be by the end, but with the all-in pricing view on Game Time, you get that. You also get the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So shop around, all that. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app. Game Time. Lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you. We got the 3-man weave, slightly biased with me, Reggie Adetula with me as well. And, man, the Mavs lose this game. They had it at certain points, and it felt like when it started to snowball for the Timberwolves, you got Gobert got his 5th foul. Cat had his 5th foul a little bit earlier. Ant gets his 4th one. And we started to call it. Slightly and I were watching the game together, and we're like, this is what's going to happen. They're going to get this, and all of a sudden it's going to snowball for the Timberwolves. And give the Timberwolves credit. They stayed composed.
Yeah, this is what I was saying before the game when I was talking to you. It's very hard to sweep a team.
Yeah.
Like, it is incredibly difficult to sweep a team in the playoffs because you're getting the 16 best teams in the NBA playoffs. And then you get to this point where it is mathematically the 4 best teams in the playoffs. It's very difficult to sweep an NBA team, man. And if the Mavericks came out and swept the Timberwolves tonight, it would have been such an impressive feat. We'd have been talking about it forever. And I know that there's going to be Mavs fans who are upset about it and whatnot, but look, they were in this game. I don't think there was anything that happened in this game where I'm leaving it going, oh my God, if the Mavericks don't figure this out over the next 3 games, they're done for. I don't leave that thinking anything. So, there was times in this game where, like you said, Gobert got his 5th foul. There was a couple technicals here and there. There was a couple scuffles.
Chris Finch one from the second row, which I found hilarious.
And I'm saying, if you follow like John Boy, the baseball guy on Twitter, there was that Aaron Boone, for the Yankees manager, who got ejected in a game because the fan behind him said something. If you're in the second row behind the Minnesota Timberwolves bench, you need to be talking to the refs the whole game, and you need to be screaming at them obscenities that you haven't heard since 1955. All right, you need to be screaming everything.
I don't like that.
Yeah, well, how about 1995?
Better.
Well, how about 2005?
All right, we can work with that.
Okay, yeah, you got it going.
Woo.
Yeah.
Shout out to the kids.
I'm gonna let you try to come back for that one yourself.
I got left on my own there, but you get what I'm saying, though, right? You need to be the second row.
I'm gonna be on the right side of the screen and the right side of history right here.
Right. I'm on the wrong side of history, but you guys get what I'm saying. You need to be screaming some things to the refs, and when they look at you, you need to point at Chris Finch. You need to say, "That was him, ref. That was terrible what he said. I have a little child next to me." Okay, so bring your little child next to the game and sit right behind Chris Finch. Next game, hit me up.
Pay the $13,000.
Add bias slightly on Twitter. I will try to compensate your tickets. If you have a little child, though, if you don't have a little child, do not hit me up.
The Mavs.
That is a wild thing to say if he was out of context. I just got to let you know.
Well, I just went. I mean, for the last 3 minutes, God knows what I said.
Okay, the game 3 win. We got so many compliments about how good our post-game show was, and now they lose, and this is what we turn into?
I think this is the best episode we've ever had on this channel. This might win you an Emmy.
The sports Emmys were like, you know what? We were going to open a lane for podcasters. The Dallas Sports Emmys were like, you know what? Never mind. We listened to the game 4.
No. That's not what they're going to say. They're going to say this was the one. And you're going to be on the stage a year from now.
This is the one we submit. This is the one we submit to the Academy. Great games from Anthony Edwards, I thought.
Yeah.
29
Timberwolves played
points,
great.
10 boards, 9 assists for him. He had 6 turnovers. He still needs to figure out that passing.
Yeah.
That's the next step for him.
He was very good.
But Anthony Edwards, I mean, he hit a ton of mid-range shots. It felt like Reggie.
And you could see the elevation from him. Like, this was the thing. The series, I think we were boiling it down to the Mavericks have 2 stars that are experienced, that have seen a lot of these things, that know how to finish out games. And the Timberwolves did not. Anthony Edwards, you could tell, has started to get a little bit of more of an understanding. That cross-court skip pass, you saw him be able to complete that, and he threw that into the third row a few times in games 1 and 2. And so I think that ended up being a little bit of a difference at the end. And I think what that tells the Mavericks is you're not going to be able to just get it close and then absolutely railroad this team at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You're going to need to do a little bit more of your work ahead of time going forward in this series.
And they finally got a Karl-Anthony Towns good shooting game. I mean, I was enjoying the non-good Cat shooting games for all the things he said about Dirk. The ridiculous, terrible, awful, really wrong things he said. But 25 points for him, 9 of 13 from the field. He's almost 70%, hit 4 of his 5 threes. Like, he finally, the 1,500 shots that he's been taking a game, finally paid off for him slightly.
No, Cat hit his shots in this game, and that's why I said earlier, it's so difficult to sweep a team. Yeah. It's especially difficult to sweep a very good team. This Timberwolves team is very good.
I mean, they're
a fantastic basketball team, man. And if the Mavericks swept this team, it really would have been such an accomplishment for this team. And Cat hit his shots. Anthony Edwards made the plays. Those skip passes. I was telling you earlier in the game, I was like, that's a crazy pass by Ant. Even some of the passes that necessarily didn't even lead to assists for Anthony Edwards. He was making those reads and making those skip passes. But, credit to Cat, credit to Ant. They had star-level games, and you know that's what you're going to get at this level in the postseason. So
at some point you were going to get that from
at some point
those 2 guys.
It would have been genuinely like a historical level thing if you didn't get a game where those 2 did something to you.
The Mavs stars on the other end, though, is there anything that you saw that could get Kyrie going more, or is it literally just because they don't really call plays for him that often? Is it literally just he's got to be better, or is there something else they can do in another game to get Kyrie the ball more? I mean, maybe he's wearing down. Like, is there any of that you guys are feeling?
They could probably empty out the side a little bit more for him. Like, I mean, that's something where he has the speed to get by a lot of these guys. And even though, they're putting longer guys on him, he can still get that half step. We saw it with Jaden Hardy. I mean, I like calling Jaden Hardy a Kyrie light, and we saw him get to the rack with
Jaden
some
Hardy would love that you just said that about him.
And
he'd be very excited to hear that you just said that.
But I mean, it's what I see, and I imagine that you guys see it too. Like, he has those similarities, and you can see him do those things. So there's no reason why Kyrie couldn't do that. I think that maybe if you open up a little bit more space for him, because again, you can see teams loading. You can see the Timberwolves loading up on him in a way. If you make that harder, if you make that next man over just a little bit further, you give him an opportunity to really attack a little bit better. And I think that maybe if you can get him going in that way, it can really lead to better things.
I think this is a game where we'll talk about how they missed him a little bit more, but this is a game where you miss Derek Lively in the short roll.
Absolutely.
You miss him, like the extra attention's going on Kyrie and on Luka too. You miss that extra connector, that guy that can come up and set a screen that Kyrie can pass to. And then once you do that, Kyrie was getting open, like running around after that and just getting lost and finding ways to get in seams and stuff like that. So you missed Derek Lively in that way on offense, and I think that affected Kyrie in some way slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Kyrie ultimately still got the looks that you would like from Kyrie. He just missed them. And, over the course of a 4-game series, that's going to happen at some point. But, yes, I ultimately do agree that, like, having Lively as that screener who can do stuff in the short roll just opens up so many things for you. And Maxi, I don't even know how many minutes Maxi played. But, Maxi just came back. And
13 and a half minutes.
13 and a half minutes for Maxi. And, Lively wasn't here. And I don't know. If Lively's here playing in this game, does that change everything for them? I'm not sure. I don't know.
It changes some things things for sure.
Definitely does.
It was a 5-point or it was a 3-point game with a minute left. Is it enough to make that much of a difference? I think it probably would.
Lively's one of the league leaders in plus minus in this postseason, so you could definitely make that argument. But I thought Kyrie ultimately got a lot of looks that you feel very comfortable with Kyrie getting. You just didn't hit him, and I think going into Game 5, I don't know how much you change. They did. We talked about it earlier in the episode. Like they changed some things where they had Jay McDaniels on Kyrie early on, and I thought going into the series, I thought that was an interesting thing where everyone said Jay McDaniels be on Kyrie, and I thought, well, are we going to get to a point where Luka doesn't care about Jaden McDaniel's size? And then you say, what if we put Jaden McDaniels on Kyrie and just kind of neutralize him with his size?
We found that out by Game 1.
Yes, we did find that out. We found that out by Game 1. Maybe I think there's some times where I'm up here in the coach's box, and I'm like, I think I should be on the court. Because there was a time where I was like, Lively, you're about to, Gafford, you're about to get a 3 seconds.
You saw that one.
And he got a 3 seconds. Folks, there's a lot of talk going around town that I should be on the court.
Back of the bench, front of the bench?
Front.
Oh, okay.
Front. I'll take back of the bench, though. That's okay.
I will say, it may not be a Sports Emmy level episode, but you're not going to.
I'm submitting this to the Sports Emmys.
You're not going to beat the drug addict accusations after this episode.
Oh.
I want you to know I'm submitting this to the Sports Emmys. Somebody please hit me up with a submission link.
Coming up, let's talk about how the Mavericks missed Derek Lively. Let's talk about what Maxi brought to this. And then I do want to have some fun. Let's talk about Jaden Hardy because he did have another moment after I talked about him yesterday. So let's talk about that and more coming up. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We've got a daily show that covers the Dallas Mavericks here. I do the one more thing with the bonus episodes. If you want to get more content, subscribe to the subtext. Click the link in the description. Text the number. It's actually on the screen right there. Text that number and more, guys. Derek Lively was missing in this game. We talked about how they kind of missed him on offense a little bit. Defensively,
yes,
I thought that they really messed him too.
Yeah.
A ton. I mean, that's a backstop that they need. And you could see the ways in which, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns attacked downhill in a way where they were clearly very much more comfortable, even with Gafford on the floor. And I understand, Gafford got a few blocks in this, and he showed that he's still that rim presence. But once Dwight Powell hit the floor, even Maxi Quiiiz, they knew that they could get downhill and really attack the middle of the paint. And I think that's what Karl Anthony Towns going. He was able to play within themselves, get downhill, and then that opened up the three-point shot where he got comfortable. So that's a whole avenue of scoring that the Minnesota Timberwolves had that I don't think that they have if Lively's playing.
Lively's become a 2-level scorer in this too, or a 2-level defender in this too, where he defends the rim, but then also switching out. He was a guy that had been very good switching out on different guys too, so that gave them almost 2 different levels then. All of a sudden it's opened up in 2 different ways for the Timberwolves, and they just made the shots that they ended up making. But man, I thought they missed Lively a lot defensively in both ways.
Look, you're not one of the league leaders or playoff leaders in plus minus at this stage accidentally. So yes, Lively's presence just defensively as somebody who could be out in space and you feel comfortable with him is very valuable. And I think that's a great point where Cat felt a little bit more comfortable attacking the paint and getting going. And the thing still is Cat had 5 fouls.
Yep.
Cat was still very volatile. So I think if you're the Mavericks, you go in the locker room and you say, hey, we forced Cat to beat us. And you know what? He had 5 fouls, and he made some plays and made some shots down the stretch, and he did it.
What moment did he have those 2 threes in a row?
Yeah, he hit some huge shots. I want to give Cat his props. He hit some massive shots down the stretch of this game for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it led them to a win. So
5 minutes left. The Mavs had to call a timeout because the Timberwolves took a 5-point lead because Cat had hit 2 in a row. The Mavs had the lead before that. He hits those 2 threes. It's a completely different game. PJ Washington or Kyrie or whoever, you miss a couple shots. Luka, if you miss a couple shots, that can literally be the game. It's just a little run like that.
That's what the Timberwolves have been saying every post game.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Where it's like our guys missed shots and their guys made shots. That's exactly what happened in this game. So, yes, Lively's absence was definitely felt for sure. But at the end, I think if you're the Mavericks, you're leaving this saying, hey, guys, play our game 5, and we expect to win. Like we do. We expect to win the game.
What did you see from Maxi coming back? This is the first time we've seen him since the Clippers series, which is a month ago. so long ago. What did you see from Maxi coming back?
I mean, for one, I thought there was the hesitation that we've seen from Maxi to look to score, even if you don't ultimately pull. I think that was still there, and you needed more from him in that situation. You needed him to at least look to score, so that changed the way that the defense played him. They were able to play off him and continue to look at him as if he was just any other big on the perimeter. And when you have Maxi on the floor, that 5-out possibility is part of what he brings. And so I think that he'll get back into the flow of things, but he missed that. He absolutely missed that in this game.
It was just such a different look when you have Maxi there as a switching defender instead of the big 7-footer under the rim. Like just such a completely different look that the Mavs really hadn't gone to at all. They hadn't gone to PJ Washington at the 5 all but like 2 minutes of this whole series so far. And I thought Maxi did okay. You talked about the hesitation. He did fine, but it's just a different look that I don't think would work well against this Timberwolves team necessarily. I don't think we really saw Maxi and Gafford together, and that's a lineup that I am kind of interested in. But with Lively out, you have to like spread out the Gafford and Maxi minutes enough to cover enough ground.
I mean, I agree with you. I don't know how much you can take away from this game from the Maxi minutes because, like you said, there's no Lively. So, you have to spread the Maxi minutes maybe in places that you wouldn't necessarily think originally, because instead of pairing him with Gafford or pairing him with Lively, now that Lively's out, you have to play him like by himself as the 5, which, yes, in this Timberwolves series doesn't seem necessarily ideal. But I agree with Reggie 100%, where it's like there was multiple times where he caught the ball in the wing where I thought he had the shot.
Yes.
And he was just a little hesitant. And I don't know how much of that is his shoulders bothering him versus this is my first game back in a month, and it's game 4 of the Western Conference Finals with a chance to go to the NBA Finals, and I don't want to shoot this shot. So we'll see. So I expect the game 5 Maxi to feel much more comfortable, especially if Lively's back, and we get different lineups where it is Maxi alongside Gafford or Lively, and he's the 4. And that changes that changes the entire dynamic with Maxi on the floor.
He had some massive plays in this one. He took the offensive foul against Cat. That was one of his fouls.
Yeah.
7 minutes left. He drove, and then Derrick Jones Jr. swung the ball over to PJ Washington for that huge 3 that tied the game at that point. Like, he did have some really big plays in this one. But Jaden Hardy also had some big plays in this one. I thought he was absolutely massive. So fine. Jaden Hardy had some awesome minutes in this game too. 13 points for him, and just he came in looking like he had so much confidence. 3 threes for him. Reggie, what did you see from the Kyrie Light Jaden Hardy, as you called him?
He's instant offense now, right? Like this is one of the biggest moments that you can play basketball in, and they've dropped him in, and he's felt comfortable. He's looked comfortable, and of course, playing off of the stars helps. But you mentioned knocking down shots. He gives you that. Driving by dudes who are very good defenders and have that lateral quickness. He's done that and finished at the rim against really tall defenders. He looks like he's ready for prime time in so much as being a factor in a playoff level team. Like, that matters a good amount, especially because the development of Jaden Hardy looked like it might not be getting there at the start of the season. He's getting there at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The decision-making is the key factor, and that's what we thought in the Summer League, and that's what we thought all season long, where the points with Jaden Hardy will come and go, but it is the decision-making as a playmaker that's going to decide who he is as an NBA player, and that's the stuff in this postseason where it's like, whoa, this was not here all season long, and now it's
really
here.
Wasn't.
It literally was not here at any point during the regular season, and now we're seeing it at the most, like Reggie said, the most pivotal time of the playoffs. So it's great to see for Jaden.
To see him and Lively both step up in huge ways in this postseason is so great for the Mavs' future. Like, just to see those guys develop a little bit more. Like, what could they bring, especially in a team that's going to be up against the second 8 brand and up against the cap and all the salary cap and all that kind of stuff. To have young guys like that, pretty cost-controlled, to show up in really big ways, it's so big for this team going forward.
Majorly. I mean, and that's why the Mavericks are still going to win this series. They're not, like we said at the beginning of the episode, they're not losing 4 straight games. Like, I just do not think this team is capable of losing 4 straight games to anybody. It's not a knock on the Timberwolves. I just don't think that they're capable of losing 4 straight games to a single team. But they're just built for the future. Like, they are. This isn't a team
25,
that's
PJ 26.
Like, a lot of national
25.
heads, like Bill Simmons, Russello, this Mavericks team sold their future. Like, they didn't sell their future, though. They didn't. Like, they traded for 25-year-old PJ Washington. They signed 26-year-old Derrick Jones Jr. They traded for 25-year-old Daniel Gafford. Like, everything that they've done is built to help them now, but also in the future. And man, they're still a game away from the NBA Finals, and they're going to get there. Like, they're going to get there.
They've got, what, 3 more chances?
Is
my math right on that one?
That is correct.
Like I was saying in the beginning, when you're a fan of a team up 3-0, there's always that, thought in the back of your head. Where it's like,
just
oh, man,
the
no
Murphy's
one's ever
Law.
did.
Whatever
Right.
could go wrong, could go wrong.
And I mean, we're Dallas sports fans, so obviously that thought is at the very forefront of our minds because we've been here through a lot. But man, this team's not going to do it. I'm just here to tell you right now. Nothing happened in this game where you leave it like, oh my God, if they don't fix this, they're in a lot of trouble. Like nothing happened like that. Ant and Cat made plays. Kudos to them. They did. They made plays.
Are you guys confident slightly, Reggie?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident, man. This, again, 3-0 puts you in a place where you deserve to have that confidence. And, I mean, Lively is not going to be gone forever. And,
Yeah.
I mean, even if you want to go that far, we've seen this team with Derek Lively in the way, with the optionality that they have with Lively and Gafford, they should be able to win this series, whether it's in 5 or in 7, they'll move along.
Yeah, I agree. And even if Gafford or Lively misses the rest of the series, statistically, this team without Lively will win one of the next 4. Like, that's just statistically how it works.
Yeah, it's like now we just need a puncher's chance, right?
Yeah.
Just a puncher's chance to win a game. All you got to do is win one more and go to the NBA Finals, face the Boston Celtics, and yeah, here we are. I'm confident they will too. It's never happened before because it's really hard. Just like you said, it's really hard to sweep somebody. It's really hard to come back.
It's hard to beat an NBA team 4 straight times, man.
Think about it.
It's so hard.
Just as hard as it was for the Mavs to sweep the Timberwolves in this, the Timberwolves now have to sweep the Mavs. They have to go literally 4 in a row to win this. And so, still confident, still feeling like the Mavs had chances if the shots fall a little bit differently. A couple of those plays, Kyrie turnover, a couple of missed shots here, Luka, a couple of missed shots there, different things like that. Maybe one of the Timberwolves guys fouls out a little earlier. Maybe Scott Foster gets a little bit more full of himself. Come on, Scott. couldn't have helped one out.
Series extender, that's what they call him. The extender.
Yeah,
I didn't think the refs were a problem tonight, by the way.
No, I didn't think so. I didn't think so either. It's not what it sounded like when you were cheering during the game.
Oh, well, you got to understand. I'm up here. I'm like, ref! But then, am I wrong? I turn around and say, that was the right call.
He did, but it was very quiet. I don't think Scott could have heard.
I do it all the time. You got to let the refs know. You yell at them, and then you turn like, that was a good call, actually. But you just have to let them know.
Absolutely. There you go. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll be back with more episodes, more stuff. The Mavs continue to play. They're playing more games. We got a game 5 in Minnesota, so we'll cover that, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Mavs in 5, baby.
Mavs in 5?
This series is over.
Mavs in 5.
Over.